to do is start us off by giving us the philosophy behind this comp plan, and what were you trying to accomplish here as opposed to what we've seen, for example, as I know where you were going with that conversation with Monavie and the behavior that they were creating and the back end. So
Yep.
I'd love for you to get into the philosophy a little bit of where that came from, and then we'll get into the specifics.
Sure. And what I'm going to do is I got my whiteboard here, so I'm going to set this up, and hopefully everybody can see. I kind of moved it, so I don't know if this is better or not.
Yep, you're good. You're good.
Good there? Okay. So I'm going to bring up a chair too, just because I might get into some writing. I might sit on it, I might not. I'm from the South, so I talk with my hands, so I'm going to be like this a lot, So anyway, the compensation plan philosophy, every compensation plan is essentially designed the same way. And what I mean by that is they all have the same type of principle. And that is that they scale up. So as you go up in rank or whatever, the percentage of what you earn per rank goes up. So maybe you get more levels, maybe you get a bigger check match or more bonus or whatever that might be. And that's a natural principle. The other thing that's happening is that as your business is growing, it moves faster. So if you have 2 people in your business, right, or you have 2,000 people, you can still work that same 10 hours a week, but your business is going to move a lot faster with 2,000 people than with 2 people, even though you yourself are working the exact same amount of time. That is the power of network marketing. It's not about your work. It's about a lot of people doing a little bit of work that creates massive growth. So what happens is it creates this vortex, as I like to call it, where every company out there, you can literally pick a company in the industry and go look at their sales. And if we could have access to all the books, what you're going to find, give or take, is that there's going to be 50 to 100 distributors that are literally going to be earning about 80% of the money in the compensation plan. So hypothetically, if we have 10,000 people that earned a check and we paid out $1 million in commissions, 800,000 of it's going to go to 50 or 100 people, and 9,000 and whatever change is going to split up $200,000. And that is inherently a problem. And it's a problem for a lot of reasons. So if you look at the network marketing industry, where we are, I got involved in this industry, really early on. And who would ever thought that this internet thing would have came out, and smartphones and social media and global banking and all this other stuff. So, network marketing industry started in 1886. So, 100 plus years old. So, from the 1886 to when I got involved in the 1990s, the industry grew to about a $60 billion industry. So, 100 years, it got to 60 billion. Over the next 20 years, about 5 years ago, it's about 180 billion in sales. Fast forward to now, and we're somewhere, 300 billion in sales. And again, you don't have to be a mathematician to look and to know that it's accelerating. It's moving faster. It's not slowing down. It's actually going faster and faster. Well, a lot of reason for that, if you look at the numbers, there's probably 100 million people involved in the industry worldwide. There's about 150,000 people a week, new people that are joining the industry, much less this 100 million people that's jumping around from company to company and everything else. So there's plenty of people that are interested in what we're doing. And a lot of that is it's supply and demand. And so that's my theory of network marketing on why it's growing so fast. Let me pull this back just a tiny bit, is supply and demand. So what's the demand? There's a demand for opportunity. So if you travel international, and I know you do things out there, the average income is about $300, $500 US in most countries around the world. So if we're going down to Mexico or Peru or Colombia or Brazil or Vietnam or any of these places, people are going to make about $300 US. And people say, oh, well, but everything's cheaper. Well, no, it's not. Everything's actually more expensive for anything that's foreign. So what do people want? They don't want a Mexican smartphone. What do they want? They want an iPhone or a Galaxy. Well, what do they cost? Well, they don't let you come in and sign a contract and walk out with it. You got to come in with cash. You're going to pay a couple $1,000s. So you're going to spend 4, 5, 6 months of your salary to get one of these? What about going to the movies? What about, going out to eat at, TGI Fridays or one of these places? Because of social media, people want a Western lifestyle. They want to go watch the Avengers. They want to go and, have nice things, but they're so expensive. And so there's a demand for opportunity around the world. And when there's a demand, people are going to supply it. And what's supplying it is network marketing. So network marketing is allowing people to have an opportunity, and it's growing on a scale that's, it's hard to even comprehend some of these numbers. So what does that leave us? It leaves us opportunity. But what I felt is like, okay, if the world is going towards this and the biggest growth is in these emerging markets, then what should our goal really be? And our goal should be to take out the fantasy of network marketing, take out the idea that, a brand new person is going to somehow go and make millions of dollars as a non-professional, which is just simply not going to happen. And one of the things that, with Monavie, that they, and all companies, I'm going to pick on them, because they're not here, but is, they promoted Black Diamond, right? Hey, go, you're going to go, Black Diamond, well, that's 1 million volume a month, balanced correctly, plus a slew of other things. A non-professional is not going to be able to get that. And if they do get it, they're not going to be able to sustain it for any length of time. So it's a fantasy rank. I say it's fantasy because, yes, it's possible, but it's not probable. And unless you're going to dedicate a decade or more to this, you're not going to ever achieve that type of rank. But yet, Travis, that's what we're pushing. That's what we're telling people. And, some days I would stand up there and think, am I selling a lie? And some days I said, well, you know what, I've done it. I've helped people do it, so you can achieve it. You know what I mean? And I've gone back and forth, but I really felt that there was something wrong. And the problem is that we were trying to build a better mousetrap using the exact same parts that we used the other mousetraps. And so when you look at compensation plans, there's really only a few major types. I'm not going to go too deep into this because we could talk for hours, which I know we would like, but everybody in the call might start, clicking out. But so there's only a few types of comp plans. And again, if you look at what we're talking about, how they scale up, we've got, a binary, we've got a matrix, we've got a unilevel, and we've got a stair-step breakaway. That's essentially the major type of comp plans out there. And what we do now is we hybrid them. So we'll take a binary mixed with a unilevel, or maybe we had a check match, or something like that. But if you look at the numbers, they all pay about the same. It's just they do a little bit different behavior. And so the idea that we had with this plan is, what if we could flip it in reverse? So instead of the plan going like this, truly a pyramid, right, where just a few people are making all the money, what if we could give 80% of the money to 80% of the people? The 20%, that's those few that are getting 20%, they're still going to get a lot of income. You can still make a huge amount of money, but it's more fair how the compensation is distributed. And that's the theory behind. The other thing is rules. So I got a phone call from one of my reps the other day, and they were talking about a company, which I won't say the name, good company. You'd say they're our competition. They're from another country. And they were like, yeah, but they pay this and this. I said, no, they don't. Well, yeah, I can just do the math. I said, listen, first of all, you're having an issue if you're just taking the math of a comp plan and somehow trying to figure out what that comp plan pays. Because the math, you know what, I've got this on a swivel. I can actually swivel this and talk and swivel it back. So I said, you're doing the math, but you're not paying attention to the rules. And the rules of a comp plan dictate really how you're going to be able to do that comp plan. So the old days, which there are companies that still do this, they do what's called rank-based compensation. And rank-based compensation is where, if you want to become a gold, you got to have, 2 silver, who has 4 bronze, who has, 8, aluminum foils or whatever. And they, rank up. Well, the problem with that type of comp plan is what? You can do all the volume, but what if this person doesn't hit their thing and this one doesn't hit theirs? And so what people do is they buy the ranks. And if you have any comp plan, so anybody that knows people that are in companies, if they have a rank-based comp plan, I don't care who they are, what they're doing, they're not actually earning their rank. No one is, not to the top ranks. Every one of them is spending money every month because they're going to say, you know what? If I pay and help this person become a gold and this person become a silver and this, do this, then that will push me to this rank, and I'll earn $4,000 to do that. That's an inherent flaw within that type of comp plan. There's no way to get away from it. The other thing we see, Travis, is where people say, hey, we got 7 ways you get paid. Other dudes like, I got 8 ways you get paid. Guys, I got 10 ways you get paid. And it's like, well, how many pennies do you think is in a dollar, right? There's only 100 pennies in a dollar. So if you got 10 ways you're going to get paid, and what I usually tell them is like, no, there's 10 ways I'm going to get paid. There's probably 2 or 3 ways you're going to get paid. And there's like 1 way my people are going to get paid. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, do you get all those 10 ways to start? Well, no. I said, exactly. So let's just say that there's 100 pennies in a dollar, and let's just assume we're putting the whole dollar in the comp plan, which is not even true. They're only putting 50 cents into it. So really you got 5 cents per thing, but just for argument's sake, let's just say the whole dollar's in there. So if you start off, or, it's 10 cents per way. If you're only earning on 1 or 2 ways, that means you're only participating in 20% of the money of the compensation plan. You can't even get at the money until you rank up and get to those ranks. So the deck is stacked against you from the beginning. And remember, when is it hardest to build? It's hardest to build in the beginning when you don't have anybody. I call it the pain period. And that's probably not a good thing to say, but that's what a name that I made. I was like, you're going through the pain period right now because you want to get enough volume, right, before it starts to grow. So saying all that, and Travis, you interrupt me whenever you want and ask a question or have me hit a point better or something like that. You have a conversation.
No, keep going. You're good.
So it's like, okay, well, they wanted to create a plan where there's 1 way you get paid, essentially, okay, 1 major way. And we take out all the rules because the rules are when we talked about that company changing the comp plan all those times in that short period of time, most of them were rule changes. So they were just simply changing basic rules, but I could see what they were doing. They were making it harder and harder for people to get at the money just by changing the rules, and they're making it easier for the top people to get to the money. And I thought, you know what, that's the wrong thing because those guys, if somebody's making 50,000, you make it easier for them to make 70,000, they're not going anywhere anyway if they're making 50,000. Why don't you help the person make 100 or 200? The other theory that I saw in principle was that it's better to give 1 person $100 than to give 10 people $10. What I mean by that is $10, they're still going to quit anyway because they're not covering their auto ship. They're not bragging about it. They're not talking about residual on a residual basis. So it's like, well, could we put more money into the bottom of the compensation plan and kind of turn everything on its head? So now I'm going to turn this so we can kind of draw out some numbers. But, and what we created over several years is a volume-based plan with almost no rules in the plan. That's something that's really overlooked, is how simple it is to get at the money within this plan. So if somebody says, what is this? I say it's a volume-based plan. I don't say it's a trinary or something like that because it leads the wrong idea of what it is. Or you could say it's a reverse comp plan, but it's a volume-based plan. And it has a few different principles. And one of the principles is it calculates volume to infinity. So very similar to a binary. So what I loved about binaries and why I worked binaries for so many years, and I thought that we could figure it out with a binary, was that it's a team building plan. So you can put a person, 1 million people in over here in a binary, and it's going to pay the volume to every single person all the way to the top. Jack it off. So with a binary, I love that principle. And that's one of the principles that we put into this plan. The other thing is a binary, I called it the thinking person's or the thinking man's compensation plan. And what I mean by that is there's a strategy to it. So whenever I hear someone that says, oh, build a binary and everybody stacks down one leg, and you can't pigeonhole it because not everybody's going to do what they're supposed to do. So the principle that I build with is build where you're deserved, not where you're needed. I like the fact that you can drill down and find the inside of an inside, and bam, here's a group that's on fire. They're working, they're building, they're pushing, and we can push here. And that's what we do. We have 3 legs in the plan because it pays out so much money. That's the only way that really can make it work. But it's very similar to the binary in the fact that you can still get almost half your volume just from 1 leg. So should I pause here for a second? You want to ask something? Or?
No, so you said something I want to be very clear. You said that this is a comp plan with no rules. And what I want to clarify what he's talking about is most comp plans have structural requirements, and it kind of goes back to what he was talking about when you have to have 2 silvers or 4 diamonds or be able to get to these top ranks. It's not just volume that gets you to those ranks. It's structural requirements as well. And that makes it very, very challenging because you're jumping through all kinds of different hoops to be able to hit the top of the plan. And so in this plan, there really are no structural requirements. The only real caveat is that you can't count more than 40% or 35 first few ranks, and it goes up to 40% from your largest leg. But outside of that, you don't have to worry about having to have X amount of business builders or executive business builders to get to the next rank. And truly, that is, when companies put those in, it's their stops that allow you, I call them gotchas, right? Haha, I got you. You know, you had the volume, Sean, you were there, but you just didn't have that one executive business builder below you. And if you truly understand what that means when it comes to building, it's a huge deal. So I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, Bryan. And if you wouldn't mind, so let's go into what should I be, if I'm brand new in this plan, what should I be focusing on? Like, what are the first, you know, what are the key points in this plan that I need to be focusing on as we move forward?
Sure. You can still see it good. So, you know, you're exactly right when it comes to rules. And what I challenge anyone to do is pull up any company out there and look at their comp plan and look at all the little asterisks. And the only reason why you put a rule in a comp plan is to take something away from someone. It's to create artificial breakage and everything. So you're exactly right. So what we should focus on is really what the comp plan was designed for. And the comp plan, when I build a comp plan, most of the time, you know, you just like the first couple levels, no, it doesn't matter, you know, just give them one level, and like you don't even put any thought into it. This whole comp plan revolves around the first few levels, to the fact that about 70% or so of all the money that's paid out in the comp plan is paid out in the first few levels. And you'll kind of see what I mean. So there was 2 things, Travis, that that I felt that we had to do, which when someone got started. And the first thing is get them profitable, right? And then get them making it enough money that it's life-changing for them, and it's something that they'll be so excited that they're going to want to go tell somebody else, and it creates stability and a bunch of other stuff. So, you know, those are the first things that we looked at. Now, becoming profitable. What does it take in a typical company? So if you want to know what compensation plans pay, the average is about what a 10% binary pays. So, you know, if you have, you know, if you want to make $200, well, then you need 2,000 volume on each side, which 10% would be $200, so 4,000 volume. If you're thinking of 100, just for practical purposes of while I'm teaching this, I'm going to do everything based on 100 volume, although I'm going to talk about the fact that you have 150 volume, plus you can have more volume for the packs. But just to understand it, look at it as 100 volume for comparison. So it takes about 40 people in nearly any company out there, if you're paying $200 a month, you know, perfectly structured for you to be able to be profitable. What does it take in our plan? It takes 3 plus yours. It takes 400 in volume. So it literally pays 400 in volume or 4,000 in volume. It pays 1,000% more. It pays 10 times more than most other compensation plans on this bonus. And people do it a disservice. What they'll say is, hey, it's 3 and it's free. And you'll find yourself doing that. I encourage y'all to break the habit of that, because it's not 3 and it's free. 3 and it's free. There are companies out there that do things like 3 and it's free, or 4 and you pay no more. But what happens in those cases is that you get your 3 customers or 4 customers or whatever, and now you're able to get your auto ship for free, or maybe just pay the shipping or something. But what else happens? They take your volume away. So that person who just got 3 and it's free, I no longer get the volume for their auto ship anymore, because the company can't pay volume, you know, on it, because nothing was purchased. So 1, it's illegal. 2, it's costing too much money. So it took us forever, but what we finally figured out to do is we're going to actually give a bonus. And if you're at the 100 and, you know, volume, or the 150 volume, you're either paying, you know, 150 or 200. So when you get that 400 in volume, you literally will get a check now residually for $150 or $200 a month. Now, if you ask for it, the company will give it to you. But if you just let it go, which is what we do, then the company will take that and repurchase your product each month. And so you're purchasing your product, that volume goes up. So you are paying your auto ship each month. This by itself is staggering. Even though I had wrote the plan, until I actually started to build it, I never imagined how powerful this was, because every month, if you've been doing this a while, you're wondering like, well, how much auto ships am I going to get, and everything else. Well, with this, anyone that has that 400 volume in this, they're going to be paying their auto ship every single month. So you're going to start off the month, Travis, your business is exploding. You're going to starting off the month with X amount of thousands of volume. Your people are going to have, hundreds or thousands of volume that they can depend on, from the beginning of the month as a foundation. So this is huge. So don't get into the habit of saying 3 and it's free. I know it's easier, it rolls off the tongue, but really we're doing a disservice. You are profitable with this 10 times faster.
Let me ask you a question. So if I were to get more than 400, like let's say I did 4,000 in my first month, what would happen in that case? Like, am I just still getting the $150 credit, or am I continually getting more credits and more money that I'm earning with that?
Start going through the comp plan. So the way that the comp plan works is you go from rank to rank. And this is a lot different than other companies have done it, but it's a lot better because you know what you're going to earn. I mean, how many times, Travis, have you hit a bigger ranking? You think your check is going to be something, or your people are like, man, why is my check this or this? I hit this rank. And then you look at the disparages in income disclosures. This rank makes anywhere from $200 to $20,000. It's like, well, how in the world is that possible? But do you think that the dude who's making $200 is telling people he's making $200? He's like, oh, I'm on the $20,000 side. You know what I mean? So it creates fiction. There's all these different things with it. Whereas with this, you know what you're getting. So let's just say you do 4,000. 4,000 volume is an important volume number for a separate reason. What I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to walk this through and get to the 4,000 volume. Is that okay?
Please do. Please do.
Because that's a really important number for a lot of reasons, and you'll see. So 4,000 volume is what it normally takes for you to just make $200 in most plans. And that means that if you're making 200, at the most, you can have 2 other people making 100. So you can even have, with 4,000 volume, you only have in most companies 1 person who's even covering their auto ship. Now let's look at over here, okay? You have, and we have this over here. And remember, it's volume based, which means that a lot of times people want to count people. Remember, this isn't about people, because a person, we created a plan that you can plug any product into. So we have create a product, a new technology, whatever, we assign a volume to it, we can plug it into the compensation plan. And when that product is purchased or sold, that creates the volume. For purposes of this, I'm going to say, 100 volume. So if you do that, and then you help them, same thing, counting their volume. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to point out to everybody that Crypto One is the 100 volume product that we are promoting. So coming in the door, $50 distributor kit, going on Crypto One, 100 in sales volume. So I just wanted to correlate that. And
it also, with the All Impact, you also get the Crypto One too. And the All Impact, it's phenomenal. Like, there are companies that revolve around some of the products that we have in our All Impact, and I'm sure you've done a great job going through it, but there truly is value in it, from the education pieces, but also, the budgeting software, the deductor, all the different things for, the other types of trading, the long-term, the rise. There's a lot of value in it, and we're going to continue to add value. But yes, 100 volumes. So there's only really 2 main rules in the whole plan. The first rule is you have to have 3 personally enrolled anywhere within your organization. It doesn't have to be 3 right here. It could be here, here, here. And it's dynamically compressed. So if they drop out, then they roll up. But what you want to do is, you became profitable by creating that value, bringing in 3. You want to do the same thing. You want to help them create that 400, 300 volume for themselves, plus their own, so 400 volume. And the great part about this plan is it overlaps. So the volume counts all the way up. Your volume counts for your total sales. Some companies, the volume just flows up. You don't get to count your own personal volume. So there's no structural bonus. So it doesn't have to be structured perfectly. It could be, any which way. 400, 400, 400 plus your 100 is 1,300 in volume. You go in what they call the 500 club, business builder. I call it the 500 club. This is the key building block of what we're going to do. So we used to say, bring 3, help 3, get 3. That's not really accurate because it's just volume, but you kind of get the idea. The idea is you want to help bring a few people in, get yourself profitable, and then help those people become profitable. The second that you do that, you're going to start making 500 residually. Now, this was an important number for us because, again, the average income is about $300 US. Anywhere you go around the world, 300 to 500. So this is enough money that it's going to change someone's life, and it's going to get someone's attention. In a lot of countries, people go full-time once they get to this rank. Well, what does it take to earn this in a typical plan? It takes 100 to 120 perfectly structured distributors. So not quite 10 times, but 9 times or so of the volume in order to get this. And I remember, like in Mexico, when we launched it, people would walk in with 12 people. They'd be like, I got my 12. Am I going to make $500 a month? And we're like, yep. And so it just exploded, right? Because, people are able to achieve it. There's a few other things with this. Again, I wrote this plan with some other people, helped. I hate to say because there's definitely other people that anytime you have something great, there's a lot of input. But, I wrote the plan, or, we wrote it over several years, but then I brought my team into it. After I was a master distributor of another company, the whole time I was writing this plan for another business. And when I brought my team into it, it was like a bomb went off. I was a master distributor of a company called Rev Energy, which is a great company, great owner, and great products. But it was a binary and everything else, and we wrote this plan. And when I brought my team in, you got those people that have like 72 people on their team. And they're not even breaking even yet, but we consider them a leader. Maybe they made some fast start bonuses, so they made $500 here, $1,000 here. You got people with 100 people, somebody with 14 people. Like, none of those people are making any money. And it's a lot of them, they're insecure. They're like, man, I want to go black diamond or, get to these ranks. Well, they got in over here, and all of a sudden they're making $500. They're making 1,000. They're making 2,000. They're making 4,000, 10,000 in some cases, because it takes so little compared to them making, a guy that was making $1,000, he might be making 6,000 or 7,000. You know what I mean? Like, that was the difference. So all of a sudden, you got these people who normally were in a corner. I mean, they're up on stage. They look like Tony Robbins, talking about how to, stick with it and everything. Well, what changed? The compensation plan changed because it was so much faster. And here's what's really interesting. So going back, we talked about, going diamond, right? And we promote this. And people are like, man, I want to be like Travis. I want to be that guy. I want to have his lifestyle in this. I want to get there. And with this, it changed. People were, of course, they want to hit the bigger ranks, but that's not what the conversation is. The belief is so big because they can walk into a room and you can say, who here is profitable? And you're going to get almost the entire room is going to raise their hand. Try to do that in any other company. Then, okay, how many are making $500 a month? And you're going to get, a huge amount. Half the room's going to raise their hand. When you start to see that, someone's like, oh man, I could do that. I could help, bring those 3 and help them. I can get 12. Like, the belief is so big that they go for it. Whereas before it's like, hey, we're going to make a run for diamond. What do you got to do? You got to put in 1 million volume. Well, how much do I have now? Well, you don't have anything. You're just starting off, man. So it's like, it's such a long leap. So at that point, we're only doing 1,300 in volume. Now we're going to get to your 4,000 volume. So what are we going to do after that? We're going to make the next jump, which is the next rank, executive business builder, which is 4,000 in volume, which essentially is doing what? It's creating 500 clubs right over here. So at 4,000 in volume, and this is going to blow your mind. At 4,000 in volume, you're making $1,000 residually. So if we looked at it at this point, remember before, if in most other plans, you could have one person making 200 to 4,000 volume, 2 people making 100. Over here with 4,000 volume, you can have one person making 1,000. You can have 3 that are making 500 residually. You could have 9 that are making 200 a month residually. So in any other plan, you can have one guy making $200, 2 people making 100. This building block of 4,000 volume, you can have that many. So 1, 3, 4 here, plus your 9 here. So, we're talking 12, 13 plus people that are making $200 or more with that volume. It's incredible. That's where the money is paid out. It's paid out in the beginning ranks. And you can even go in there and start doing math and see as you start going up in rank. This is why we sometimes call it a reverse plan. You're actually getting paid less of a percentage of your volume. Whereas in other companies, you're going to start getting paid a higher percentage. And so we just flipped it around. And the bet was, what if we focus on helping the new person become stable and everything? And so this becomes a building block. And, you've been doing networking for a while. Well, you know what? I'm going to jump up just a little bit. So let's go up just a couple ranks. Okay. So what do we do after this? Well, now we're just duplicating the same thing, where all those people are trying to do what? They're trying to get into the 500 club. And how are they doing that? They're helping their people go out and become profitable. So you're helping your people become profitable, getting into the 500 club. Boom, boom, boom. Your next rank is 10,000 volume. That's $2,000. The next rank, the next 2 ranks are the best in the company. Well, besides in terms of once you're really starting to make money. 25,000 volume and 50,000 in volume. 25,000 in volume, if you notice the jump, okay, mathematically, it doubles and what you earn doubles. It doesn't do that always through the plan, but that was by design because you're going to jump from here to a 6-figure income. And so I wanted that jump to be something realistic that someone can get to. So now once you get here, 25,000, you're making 4,500. This is life-changing wherever you are. But all you now have to go do is just double your business. Whereas from over here, you're having to do a lot more than double to go from each rank. But if you're looking at mathematically, you can jump from here to a 6-figure income, 9,000 a month. Now, if you would ask me in any other company I've done, hey, Bryan, I want to be a 6-figure earner. What do I do? Well, you got to do your list and your whys and, you got to believe, how do you explain it? Like, there's a lot to explain, right? How do you do it? Well, do this much volume. Yeah, but how do I get there? It's not that easy to explain. I sometimes put networkers on the spot, not to embarrass them, but just to illustrate a point. Hey, explain to me how I make 6 figures in your plan. And they're like, oh, man, and get the scientific calculator out. Over here, it's like, okay, well, let's look at it. 6-figure income is 50,000 in volume. Remember, what's our building block? Our building block is the 500 club. So it's 1,300 in volume. So what's the math on that? It's 30-something people. So, and obviously it's not going to build perfectly, but let's just, say whatever, 33 or whatever. Well, it's easy. You want to make 6 figures, you need to take and help 33 people in your team. You don't have to have personally sponsored them. You or someone in your team, it doesn't matter, as long as you have no more than 40% coming from one leg, but you help 30 plus people get to the 500 club, you're now a 6-figure earner. Oh, you want to make 200,000? Well, now let's help this many people. You want to make $1 million? Help this many people. And that's the way that I teach, and that's the focus, because this plan, it's built to not be based on hype, but based on reality. And I'm sorry if I'm going long, just interrupt me. But so when I work in these countries, the way that these companies go in is they create stories, and it's slick, right? And I've been there, I've done it, and because it's the only way that it works, right? And so you usually have a few people that rise up and start making a lot of money, and everyone else kind of follows and like, oh, I'm going to do this, but they just don't have enough money to be able to pay their auto. So there's a big pop, and it grows, and then it kind of falls off, and that happens a lot of times. And the idea here is to put the focus on that lower amount to where it brings that stability into the business within those little building blocks. And I'll pause there and let you jump in for a minute.
No, I love it. So first and foremost, if you're listening in and you're just getting started in the plan, hopefully this gives you a clear roadmap, right? The way that you climb a mountain, how do you do it? A big, tall mountain, just step by step, right? So what compensation plans do is they always, and let me press mute here for a second. Okay. So what they do is they provide you with a a roadmap, if you will. And it's your job to know what that next step is and what it's going to take to get there. You know, I always say you wouldn't wake up in the morning and grab your car keys and just start driving without knowing where you're headed. That's how most people live their lives. It's pretty difficult to hit a bullseye when you don't know what the target is. And so, you know, as you're watching this and listening, you need to be asking yourself, okay, what's my next step? If I haven't got my 400 in sales volume so that I can get my product credit, that's what I want to accomplish. And I want to accomplish it this week, this month. And then you back your way into, okay, what do I need to do? What's the numbers? You know, if I want to go get, you know, 3 people into the business, then I probably need to go talk to, you know, 20 to 30 people to essentially go get 3. Now, I think the numbers are a little bit better here because crypto is so hot right now, but you get the idea. So understanding what your objective is, there's no reason. There's 55 of you that are on this presentation right now. We'll probably have hundreds more that'll watch this in the next 48 hours, thousands that will watch it over the next couple of months. There's no reason why any one of you shouldn't be at that $500 club within the next 30 days. Really, it's doable. It's possible for every single one of you. I mean, you heard what Bryan said. You know, they were picking up, you know, 13 people on a bus and driving to a meeting and saying, okay, I got my 13 people. Am I part of the $500 club? So that's really the key is number one, you want to get yourself to the $500 club. Number two, you want to be a 500 club factory. That's your job. Your job as a leader, once you become a $500 clubber, your job is to become more acutely aware of what's happening in your organization. And it's like whenever you see a spark, your job is to go pour gasoline on it and help that person get to 500, help that person get to 500. And so your job, although it's always going to be, you know, you can't want it for somebody more than they want it for themselves. That's the one challenge, the frustration in network marketing. But you definitely want to be the cheerleader, the encourager, the person that's locking arms with the people that are active and engaged and plugging in and reaching down into your organization and essentially doing what you can to help get people to that $500. That's the key. You know, it's to getting to these top ranks in this plan and getting into some of the big money. It doesn't change. It's the same thing. You're creating more of those stories in your organization over and over and over again. So $500 a month club. And then from there, that next step is getting to that $4,000 a month club. And we've got a number of you that have already done that in the plan. I'm very proud of you guys for jumping out front and getting that done. But now you're at $1,000 a month in earnings. And not only that, but you now get access to the coded bonus. And we're not going to go into the coded bonus tonight because we could spend an hour on that. But there's a lot of money that's there that you're picking up now because of the overrides from the people that are in your organization. And so understanding this plan, knowing what the steps are, knowing where you are and what you need to do to get to the next level, and then really challenging yourself, making a commitment to say, look, I'm going to do whatever it takes to accomplish that goal of getting to that $1,300 a month this month. Make that commitment, put it on your refrigerator, put it on your calendar, put it in your mirror, 1,300 in sales volume. What are you going to do to make that happen? You're going to get back to the daily disciplines of just putting people in process every day and working them through the system that we've talked about. So, you know, really the success that the top earners in this industry have comes from these building blocks that Bryan is sharing with you and just becoming an expert at helping people in your organization get to those building blocks. And sometimes we put so much emphasis and focus on recruiting and just bringing people in the door, we forget that we're leading an organization. And so it's important that you take that responsibility of the people that are in your group and identify the people that are hungry, that are willing to go to work this month, lock arms with them and do whatever it takes to get them over the finish line. You know, Bryan, we've got about 10 minutes left in this plan or in this presentation, and I'd really like to get into the next phase, which is the compounding effect. We've introduced recently, and this is cool that you've seen this. So you guys have to understand, Bryan was producing, and Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, millions in volume in this plan prior to crypto even being here. Crypto coming in has created a ton of volume because cryptocurrency, especially crypto mining, is so hot right now. We've got the hottest conversation in network marketing. I hate to say this, but if you can't sell machines that print money, then you know what? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's what we have. And so Bryan, do you mind just talking about, I've never seen before compounding. Like compounding, Albert Einstein says that compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. I've never seen compounding happen in a structure in an organization. Help me understand, in comparison to the average, you know, I just came from a company where the sales volume was 30 in SB, sales volume per person. And we were lucky to keep them on that for 3 or 4 months. So we're talking 120 in sales volume. where's the residual? So talk to me about how this plan's different.
Absolutely. So I wanted to say one other thing, and I'll go through this quickly. You mentioned something about, identifying people, and don't forget that we're growing organizations. So one of the principles that I teach is called build slow to build fast. And what that means is a lot of times we throw people in, and if they're not a self-starter, then they just kind of, they don't want it or something like that. When in reality, if they're still showing up, then they probably want it. They're not, build sort of build fast means sometimes you need to take time with people when they come in. You need to hold their hand a little bit. Take a little time, show them the back office, make sure that they understand everything. Do they know how to recruit? Do they know the basics? A lot of times we don't do that. But if you build slow to build fast, your business will explode further long term. And it means that everybody is, becoming an expert and helping that new person when they start. Now with the crypto, you're right. I mean, I used to make this joke about, in network marketing, you can have a tree that grows $100 bills and some people will let the tree die. And that's where we're at. We're growing. We have trees that grow $100 bills and still some people are going to let the tree die. But what it does is compounding effect. It works so perfect with this plan, and I'll spin it back over here because it's a volume-based plan. So we want to put as much volume as we can, and the volume calculates to infinity. Like you said, you might get 3 auto ships, 4 auto ships at 30 volume or whatever. With this crypto, and I've been doing it. I mean, I sent you my screenshots, Travis. I'm getting paid in Ethereum. Remember, not getting paid money. We're getting paid coins, which are property. And that's why we're able to do it, because we own property, that are coins daily, but those coins have a value. And once you start to understand the math on it, if you wanted to buy 5 Ethereum coins, now Ethereum's down, but they say you get 6 coins for it or whatever. And if you, bought a contract in a mining, then you're going to get somewhere between 17 and 21, depending on, how hard the calculations are going to be. So it makes sense to do it. But if as soon as you have enough to buy another one of those contracts you did, well, that same one, now you might, if you continue to do that, might make 100 coins on that within the same period of time. So once people understand, Travis, they are going to rebuy. And it gets to a point when people start to compound that they're doing an auto ship a day, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, you look at it going out, somebody, every day if they're doing an auto ship, and then it gets bigger and bigger as they're compounding it, and everyone is doing it. And the other thing is this, Travis, would any of those people have quit our businesses if they had a residual income from day one? No, of course they wouldn't. So we have 3 years, and they've actually changed it. It's more now. Now it's for the life of the machine. So those machines, 3.5, 4 years, so 1,500 days probably is really what these contracts are going to end up being. So it's even better now, which is great. But that means you've got them engaged where they're getting paid a residual daily. So they're seeing it, they're engaged, and they're seeing it work. As soon as they have enough money, they're going to buy another contract because you can start to do the math. Well, how does it work with this plan? It works perfectly because every person that's already in the business, what are they doing? They are bringing in new customers, new contracts, but then they're also repurchasing themselves over and over and over. And the compounding effect, we don't have the time to go through it right now. And really, you shouldn't do it in a live presentation without tons of disclaimers and everything. But personally, when you're teaching this and you're sitting down with someone, it's perfectly fine to go through it because it's all true. But the numbers just get so big that, it looks crazy because like I started doing the math on compounding with, buying a few 5,000 packs each month. And I stopped doing the math at 18 months because, again, I was buying X amount of contracts a month, but it was like at $200 million or something at the current price of Ethereum. And I was like, oh, man, this is bigger than my belief level, really, But the point is, like you said, Einstein said it. It's magical how when it hits this certain amount, it starts to go. So we're already seeing it, Travis. Already people in the business, in just 3 months that we've been doing this, it's already starting. People are already starting to purchase multiple ones. And so we're getting it. And some, they're not even waiting for it to compound. Some are just seeing, well, I could blow $500 going out and doing all this, or I could buy another $500 contract and start to earn another residual income. And the other thing is it almost becomes like a savings bank, right? Because you're storing these coins and you don't want to sell them. So you're saving money in a way. I mean, it has so many positive things, but that volume, when it starts to go up, it's going to produce, we're going 150% a month right now in sales as a company. I mean, our biggest month was 13% growth in 4 years. You know, we did, when you came in, we probably did 200% that month, but we're growing at this massive click, and it's just going to start moving faster. And so, and I hope I illustrated it okay right there, Travis, but you know, hopefully people get the point, right?
Yeah, and I want to say one thing real quick, and I apologize if the rest of a little bit over, but someone says, well, why would we do something if we don't make any money? And I want to clarify. So compounding, if you understand the term compounding, again, allows you to be able to take the proceeds that you're generating from your contract, and this isn't required. This is just a strategy. So the money is yours. The money gets deposited into your coin wallet daily. That's your money. You can convert it to cash and you can go, you know, run with it. Most of the people that are getting involved in mining, though, are not doing it to necessarily live off of the daily proceeds. They're looking at it more of a wealth building strategy. And so when no different than if you were to invest in the stock market or anything else, when you incorporate compounding, if you understand that what it really is, you're taking the proceeds that you generate, and every time you hit a certain threshold in your coin wallet, if you purchase additional equipment and you keep doing that, what eventually happens is you end up with so much equipment that the results compound dramatically over, let's just say, a 3 to 5 year period. So for me, I compound specifically because I'm building an asset that I know I can get to multiple 7 figures of value by compounding over the next 3 to 5 years. But let me be very clear, you don't have to do that. And this is strictly on the mining side that we're talking about here. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of money to be made on the compensation plan side. Right now, we're talking just about mining and how the compounding, the people that are choosing to compound in your organization, how that affects your sales volume. Because if you have a large majority of the people that are in your organization that are choosing to compound, what that's doing is it's creating a tremendous amount of volume in your organization, which you're getting paid on. So I wanted to clarify that. Somebody asked that question, Bryan.
Can't talk right now. I'm on a Zoom. But no, you're exactly right. And so, like, for instance, in this last in the first 30 days that I have my contracts, and it depends on what the price of Ethereum is, but I'm somewhere around $2,000 worth of that property, of those coins. I could sell that and buy more contracts right now, or I could just keep it. But why not? You know, because we got a limited amount of time. There's only so much Ethereum. You know, we have years, right? But that we can, you know, be produced. So you're building it up, and once it clicks. And I have friends that have done huge things in crypto businesses, and they say 98% of the people, when they understand it, will start to compound. And then you do it as long as you want to create that asset, and you do whatever you want with the asset. The other thing is this for everyone to think about. Why is it that you can't be a billionaire right now in crypto? Because you could. You very easily could, because of how much growth there still is. Why? Because you don't have enough money right now to put into it in order to get that. So when Bitcoin came out, I saw it in 2010, 11, and it was, you know, less than a dollar or something per coin. My friend told me about it, and I was like, Dad, I got 10 other ways to flush money down the toilet than this crazy idea. And I was like, are you going to buy anything? He's like, well, maybe, you know. And so if you would have put a couple $100s in at that point, you would have a couple $100 million right now, you know, at the very beginning of Bitcoin. So that's no longer the case. But if you don't have it enough, then how do you do it? Well, the compounding is how you do it. You get these contracts and you continue to use that money, OPM, I guess, or of course it's yours, but you start compounding that asset to where you can make that huge money without having to come in and say, okay, I'm going to put $20 million in contracts today. You know, you can put $20 million into contracts over so many years, you know, by compounding type thing. So I hope that makes sense. But, and I know we're on time. So any other points you kind of want me to go through, or?
No, I think that we've just about it. I mean, you know, the last thing I would say is for the people that are in, why would you recommend that they get a mining contract? Like, what, you know, you don't have to. Just to be clear, I mean, mining contracts it's just another product that we offer. It's another. I look at it as another. I call them income producing assets. You get for me 1,000 times talk about building wealth, right? How do I build my wealth strategy? Very simple. You know, number one, I'm always going to be associated with a network marketing opportunity. Why? Because it's the best vehicle to be able to create true leverage in your life, right? You go to work full time to pay the bills, and your part-time or spare time, you start working on building this business that starts to build residual income. Well, what happens? What does that do? It creates cash flow, So what do you do with that cash flow? Well, you could spend it, or you can take that cash flow and you can acquire other income producing assets like mining. So now what do? I acquire a mining contract, and it could be as little as $500 to get started, you guys. It doesn't have to be a 5,000 or 25,000 or whatever the case might be. Everybody's different. But what do? I'm purchasing an asset that's now starting to generate daily cash flow. So what do I do with that cash flow? I can go spend it, or guess what I can do? I can take that money and I can go purchase another asset. So it could be another mining contract. Or I could say, you know what, Bryan, I want to get involved on this trading bot that you guys have coming out. That looks pretty cool. And you know what, I'm learning about all of these ICOs, and I might throw a little bit of money into ICOs right now. So the idea is that, again, we want to help you. It's not about the network marketing. What I love about MLM is that you can create cash flow. And if you really work hard at it, you can create an income that your family can live off of. But the idea is to take some of that income and start putting it into other wealth building vehicles for you. I've never been a part of a network marketing company that offers wealth building vehicles. We've made good money. Bryan's made good money. I've been good money, but I will tell you this. You kind of fall into this trap of assuming, the check will just always be there, and you spend a lot of money traveling and these type of things. And so the idea is, and what I'm most excited about is as I start to build up my network marketing business, focusing on getting people to $500 a month, getting them to $4,000 a month, signing people up into mining contracts. Some of those people are compounding. My organization starts to grow, my paycheck starts to grow, but what are you going to do with that money? I'm going to put it into mining, and I'm going to put it into other resources that ultimately allow me in the next 3 to 5 years to be able to declare my financial freedom day, which is the day that you no longer have to trade time for dollars. You can do the things that you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. So my advice to all of you is get some kind of leverage working for you. And I just don't know, Bryan. I mean, you tell me, is there any better recruiting tool than pulling out your phone and saying, let me show you how this works, and just show?
I would love to give you an example of it. And think of it like this: if we're going and we're selling an energy drink or skin cream or whatever the thing is, and we give it to someone, they try it, and what do they say? Oh, you know what? I didn't feel anything. It doesn't work. I look worse now. What are you going to call them, a liar? You're lying. And there's not much you can do. You're kind of stuck at that point. With this, it's not a debate. It's not, is this working or not? Oh, hey, let me show you. You pull out your phone. Look at what my contract is doing. Do you know about cryptocurrency? Yeah, I kind of heard of it. Were you more into kind of buying or mining? Oh, well, what's the difference? Well, let me tell you. If you buy 5 Ethereum, here's what it is. If you bought a mining contract, here's about what you get. In fact, let me show you what mine is doing. That's it. The game is over at that point. It's proven that it's real, and then they can see it. They can touch it. It's not something that can be faked. Now, it doesn't mean that they necessarily want to do it, but at that point, most people do. The other thing is that it's just like going back to the old network marketing thing, being a product of the product. And also it keeps people engaged. If they're in, that means that you've got them for 3.5, 4 years where they're going to be earning daily. You've got their attention. You can call them in 2 years, even if you haven't talked to them. Hey, just checking. How's that contract coming? I'd love for you to come out to a meeting, see what we're doing. That's an open conversation where normally they're not going to take your phone call if they haven't done anything in 2 years. If they got that contract, you've got an open door to say, hey man, how's your contracts going or whatever. Like it locks people in a way, in a positive way. Everything else you said 100% too, but just and I'll say one last thing, and I know we're going over, but from a psychological standpoint, here I am, I'm 500K rank. I consult for the company. I wrote all these things. I'm in there every day at the office. I got so much belief in it. But when I got my own contracts, okay, just recently, because we got, even though I had seen it, even though I saw other people's, and I was trying to decide what to do, and everything like that. And my Coinbase, it's hard to get my thing set up. And when I finally got mine, and I got those first 2 deposits. So a friend of mine who's worked with me before, I wanted to come over. I've got like an arcade here at my house. It's got like 50,000 games on it and everything like that. And so his son, I was like, hey, we're not talking business. I want you to come over. Your son's going to love this arcade. And so they come over and they play and everything like that. And I start talking about crypto. I had 2 days in, and here's someone who said he'll never do network marketing again. He loves me, but it's just not for him, right? I showed it to him. We're looking at it while we're sitting there, Travis. Ethereum's, going up and it's going up and down. And he's so intrigued, and had 2 days in, my belief was so big with it. It's like you could touch it because you couldn't deny that it was doing what it was doing. And that person then, which I'm not saying necessarily do this, but he had just put an IRA into Prime America for 20 something thousand. He said, I'm going to take it out and put into this. When he took it out, only been 1 week, they had already lost 3,000 of his money in that. So first of all, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I took it out. But he's now in the business and he's working the business again. And he's calling people, he's like, Bryan made me a liar because I'm back in network marketing. But this is different, and everybody likes to say it's different, right? But it's not really different. This really is different. So for all the reasons you said, plus so many other ones, being a product of the product, and the last point you made, and look, I've made a lot of money. I've made 8 figures in this, but I'm still working, right? I haven't got that where, that win where I've been in a company for 30 years or whatever. And those companies, they don't do what they say or different things, or like you said, you spend money in bad investments. And yeah, of course I'm doing really good, but like you said, I don't have $50 million in the bank or something like that. And this is like an end game in a lot of ways. And, at the most part, most people don't have. Look at the numbers. People have less than $500 in their bank account, when they're 65 years old. Like, there's so many reasons for this. And once you dive more into the company, I said the last thing, but I said like 3 more things. Once you dive into the company and you see what was the philosophy, the starting philosophy was find, grow, keep. It was about helping people in other countries that don't have a way to be able to invest or things like that. How can they find money? How can they grow money they have? How can they keep money? We don't believe that people are broke because they don't make money. We believe that they don't know what to do with it. They don't understand it. So there's so many other things that you're going to find out about the company that they teach and we preach. Yes, the crypto is the hot thing and it's exciting and everything like that. And that'll bring people in the door. But once they're here and they'll start to see what this company stands for and that it really is trying to do things right and change people's lives, it'll just blow your mind. So
I love it. Well, listen, guys, every one of you will have an opportunity to be able to pick this guy's brain in Mexico in about 2 months. So I encourage all of you guys to make sure that you get qualified for the Mexico trip. You'll have a chance to spend some time with Bryan and the rest of us while we're there. I want to say thank you, Bryan, for doing this.
Anytime. Yeah,
really appreciate your input and expertise. And hopefully you guys gained a little bit more clarity on the compensation plan tonight. We've got a great opportunity in front of us. And I loved your analogy when you said we could have a product, trees that grow money, money on trees, and people will still let them die. So I think that's a perfect way to end this. Don't let the tree die. You've got a great opportunity sitting in front of you, and really a vehicle that can put you into a position over the next 3 to 5 years that allows you to truly be able to live the quality of life that you want to live. And it all starts with just going out and finding. I love that too. Find. What is it? Find, grow, keep.
Find, grow, keep. Yeah.
Find, grow, keep. Going out and finding people that are looking for financial solutions and teaching them how to start growing assets and then keeping those assets as we move forward. I think that's a great way to close. So with that, Bryan, thank you so much. Everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. We've got a big overview tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Eastern. If you're watching the recording and on demand, get to the person that invited you into the plan, and they'll be able to plug you into our nightly call schedule that we have. And with that,
Travis, last thing, I'm putting the company's having me put together 2 comp plan videos, branded Kuvera, one on this part and one on the code. And as soon as I get those, I'll send them to you.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Appreciate you, Bryan. Thank you very much. Thank yous from everybody in the group. And with that, let's go out and have some fun. Let's go dream big, work hard, and go change some lives, you guys. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, guys.